Welcome, the chosen one. There is a kind of silence that the world has never learned to read. It is not the silence of someone who has nothing to say. It is not the silence of peace. It is the silence of someone who has carried their own weight for so long that speaking has become an act of exhaustion. The silence of a person who has answered every question with the words, "I am fine," so many times that the phrase itself has lost all meaning. The silence of a soul that has held the room together while quietly, almost imperceptibly falling apart inside. You know this silence, the chosen one. You have lived inside it for years, perhaps for as long as you can remember. And if these words find you tonight, if they reach you in the quiet hour when no one is watching, it is because something inside you, something that has been ignored for far too long, has finally demanded to be heard. Studies of the human heart have shown something remarkable. When a person suddenly goes quiet after being consistently present, after being the one who always had the words, the one who always answered the call, the one who always carried the weight, it triggers a kind of high alert in everyone around them. Not because the quiet ones have become dangerous, but because the quiet ones have finally stopped performing. And the world, the chosen one, does not know what to do with a person who has stopped performing. The human mind is wired to detect changes in behavior, and nothing unsettles people more than a shift they cannot explain, especially when that shift comes from within you, especially when that shift is the visible surface of an inner transformation that has been gathering in the dark for years. And lately, you have been too quiet. Not the "I am busy" quiet, not the "I am tired" quiet. The kind of quiet that feels like the air before a storm, calm on the outside, but somewhere deep within, lightning is building. The truth is that your silence is not weakness. It is the most honest sound you have made in years. It is the sound of a soul that has finally stopped pretending. You have stopped broadcasting your movements, your emotions, your availability. And the people who once felt bold enough to test you, the people who once felt entitled to your energy, are beginning to realize that they no longer know where you stand. They no longer know what you are carrying. They no longer know what you are planning next. And that mystery, the chosen one, is eating them alive in ways they will never admit. It is a strange thing, is it not? Some of them thought your quiet meant you were retreating. Some of them thought it meant you were defeated. But deep down, in the place where their own conscience still lives, they are beginning to suspect it means something else entirely. They are beginning to suspect that you are not retreating at all. You are arriving. You are arriving at a version of yourself that no longer requires their permission to exist. And so, the chosen one, before we continue, let us name what is true. Your quiet did not begin as a strategy. It did not begin as a weapon. It began as a wound that finally demanded your attention. It began as a part of you that had been carrying too much for too long and finally said, in the only language it knew, "I am here. Please, finally, see me." And you are beginning to see. But seeing is not the same as healing. Understanding why you have gone quiet is not the same as finding your way back to your own voice. Knowing the names of the wounds is not the same as crossing through them. The true return, the chosen one, requires more than recognition. It requires a path. There is a path designed for this return. It is called the 7-day ritual, the crossing. 7 days to become whole again. It is a guided audio experience made of 7 symbolic stages, created to be experienced gradually, in your own time, in your own space. 7 successive thresholds that invite you to slow down, to listen, and to begin the inner rebuilding that words alone cannot accomplish. You may have heard the names of the 7 stages: water and salt, the mirror, the candle, the earth, the coin, the breath, the silence. These are the symbolic doorways of the crossing. But how they work, the deeper meaning they hold, the sequence in which they unfold, the symbolic gestures, the inner reflections, all of this remains within the experience itself. They are not practices to be repeated from memory. They are not instructions to be followed by reading. They are thresholds to be crossed slowly, with presence, with intention, accompanied by a voice that knows the way. Access to this path is available in the first pinned comment below. This is not a subscription. It is not a community. It is not a course of study. It is a single, complete crossing waiting for the moment you are ready to begin it. But the experience itself, the gradual return, the symbolic gestures, the inner reconstructions, all of it begins only when you step through that door. For now, stay with these words, because there is more to see, more to recognize, more to understand about what you have been carrying, and about why a simple understanding is not yet a crossing. When you pulled back, the chosen one, you did not just remove yourself from the conversation, you took away an entire stage. For a long time, certain people in your life operated under the illusion that they had a certain hold over you. They believed that as long as you were within reach, they could predict you, influence you, or even quietly control your choices. Your presence gave them a sense of importance, a false feeling that they had some kind of power over your inner world. They believed, because you allowed them to believe, that they were necessary to your life. But the moment you went quiet, you took away the very thing they relied on most. Access. Access is a form of control, the chosen one. And control is only possible when someone can reach into your space and move things around. They knew how to push your buttons. They knew how to bait you into reacting. They knew how to read your moods just by watching you. They knew how to twist your words, your silences, your kindnesses, into weapons they could use against you. But now, with nothing to read, nothing to poke, nothing to trigger, they are left guessing, and that guessing is driving them to a kind of madness they did not prepare for. Your absence is doing something they never anticipated. It is forcing them to sit with themselves. They cannot distract from their own flaws by focusing on you anymore. They cannot point fingers, twist narratives, or keep you under their microscope. Without your presence to manipulate, they are left staring at a blank wall where their control used to be. And here is the part that really unsettles them, the chosen one. That wall is starting to reflect them back at themselves. People like that depend on your reactions to feel powerful. When you take that away, you strip them of their favorite weapon. They cannot feed their ego by winning against you if you are not even in the arena. Your quiet became a mirror they did not want to look into, because it shows them the truth. They only felt strong when you played along. Now they are realizing something they never wanted to face. The control they thought they had was never real. It only existed because you allowed it. And once you withdrew, the whole thing collapsed like a house of cards. And the reason this is relevant to you tonight, the chosen one, is that you have been living inside someone else's house of cards for too long. You have been allowing others to believe that they had power over you because you were too busy caring for them to notice the cost to yourself. You were too busy being the strong one, the reliable one, the one who always answered, to realize that you were slowly being emptied out. That is why these wounds persist, the chosen one. It is not because you are weak. It is because you have been carrying the weight of other people's illusions about you. You have been performing a version of yourself that served their needs, while your own needs went unattended. And the silence you are now living inside is not the silence of defeat. It is the silence of a soul that is finally, for the first time in years, refusing to perform. You stopped feeding their ego's lifeline. They thrived on the attention you once gave them. Whether it was praise, concern, or even frustration, every reaction you offered was like fuel for their sense of importance. When you showed care, they felt validated. When you got angry, they still felt important because they knew they had the power to affect you. It did not matter if the energy you gave was positive or negative. What mattered to them was that it was yours, and that made them feel significant. The day you went quiet was the day they lost that lifeline. You stopped explaining yourself. You stopped defending yourself. You stopped making sure they knew how you felt. It was not an accident, the chosen one. It was a choice. And that choice cut them off from the steady stream of energy they had come to expect from you without question. What is happening now is simple, but devastating for them. Without your energy to lean on, they have to confront the emptiness they have been avoiding. They have been using your responses as proof that they mattered, that they still had a place in your life. Now that you have taken that away, they are struggling to find that sense of importance anywhere else. And the worst part, the chosen one, is that they do not even know how to create it for themselves. The silence you have given them is not just an absence. It is exposure. It exposes how dependent they were on you for validation. It exposes how little they have built for themselves emotionally. It exposes that the power they thought they had was nothing more than your willingness to engage. And this, the chosen one, is the part that should make you weep with recognition. Because for years you were the one being dependent on their validation. You were the one building your sense of self around their approval. You were the one who did not know how to create worth within yourself. And so, when you finally went quiet, you did not just take something from them. You took something from yourself too. You took the illusion that you needed them, and in that taking, you discovered an emptiness that frightened you. But here is what you did not yet see, the chosen one. The emptiness is not the absence of them. The emptiness is the space that has always been yours. It is the space that was always meant to be filled by you, by your own presence, by your own attention, by your own voice. The emptiness you feel is not a void to be filled by another person. It is a room that has been waiting for you to come home. Your stillness is making their guilt louder. When you stopped responding, you removed the noise that allowed them to ignore their own actions. As long as you were talking, defending yourself, explaining or reacting, they could focus on you instead of facing what they had done. Your words, whether calm or heated, gave them something to latch onto, something to twist, dismiss or use as an excuse to avoid looking at themselves. But now there is nothing for them to deflect. All that is left is the truth, and it is pressing in on them harder every day. Your quiet is not just the absence of conversation, it is the absence of distraction. Without your voice in the mix, their own mind is louder than it has ever been. The things they said, the choices they made, the way they treated you, those memories are not fading like they hoped. Instead, they are playing back in their heads with no competing noise to drown them out. And no matter how much they try to bury those thoughts, they keep resurfacing. The guilt they carry is not always conscious. Sometimes it shows up as irritation with you for not engaging. Sometimes it shows up as them trying to paint you as the problem to others, because it is easier than admitting they created the situation. But underneath all of that, there is a growing awareness that your absence is connected to their actions. And that awareness is uncomfortable in a way they cannot easily shake. This kind of quiet is dangerous for them, the chosen one, because it is making them face themselves in a way they never planned to. They cannot tell themselves the story that you are overreacting or being dramatic when you are not even speaking. They cannot accuse you of starting a fight when you have given them nothing to fight about. That leaves only one explanation, and it is one they do not like to admit. They were wrong. The longer the silence stretches, the heavier that realization becomes. And what unsettles them most is that you are not trying to make them feel guilty. You are not chasing closure, demanding apologies or proving your point. The weight they feel is not coming from you. It is coming from within them. That is the kind of guilt that sticks, the chosen one. And it is the kind that will never fully let them rest when they think about you. And you, the chosen one, have been carrying a similar weight, have you not? Not the weight of their guilt, but the weight of your own. The weight of knowing that you allowed certain things to continue for too long. The weight of knowing that you stayed in rooms you should have left. The weight of knowing that you gave parts of yourself to people who were never going to return them. The weight of words you did not say, actions you did not take, doors you did not close. That weight too has been playing back in the quiet hours. That weight too has refused to fade. And that weight, the chosen one, is part of what you have been carrying in your silence. Your stillness is not just an absence of words. It is a confrontation with every choice you have made that did not honor the truth of who you are. You are no longer operating on the same frequency, and that is becoming painfully clear both to them and to you. In the past, you may have allowed yourself to be pulled into their whirlwind, poked until you snapped, baited into arguments, drawn into a mess just to see you scramble. That was their comfort zone. They knew how to win in chaos because they lived there. They knew how to bait you because they had studied your reactions like a map. But now you have removed yourself from that space entirely. You do not step into their storms. You do not play the games they are trying to drag you into. You have learned, or are learning, how to stay centered no matter how loud their noise becomes. Your quiet is not a retreat. It is not you running away, hiding, or surrendering. It is control. It is you choosing not to spend your energy where it cannot grow, and that choice disrupts their entire playbook. When they cannot provoke a reaction, they lose their power. Without your emotional involvement, their tactics fall flat. There is nothing for them to feed off of, no chain reaction for them to ride. It is like they are throwing sparks into the ocean. You have become, in a sense, untouchable. This is unsettling for them because it means they cannot read you anymore. People who thrive on emotional manipulation depend on predictability. They need to know that if they push a certain button, you will respond in a certain way. They have spent years learning which buttons to push, in which order, at which moment to produce the reaction they wanted. But you have changed the game without warning. You do not react. You observe. You calculate. And that, the chosen one, is more frightening to them than any argument you could have raised. Because calculation means you are thinking ahead. It means you are not just surviving their attacks. You are outmaneuvering them entirely. Operating at a different frequency also means you are no longer reachable by their usual methods. The insults, the gossip, the sudden outbursts, the manipulative comparisons, none of it touches you the same way anymore. You do not get pulled into their world of instant reactions and impulsive decisions. You have shifted into a place where your moves are deliberate, intentional, and almost invisible until they are done. That kind of discipline is the difference between someone who is still playing defense and someone who has already won. And now they know you are not an easy target anymore. You are not even in the same arena. They can throw as many emotional punches as they want, but you have already stepped out of range. And yet, the chosen one. This is also why you feel so alone. Because the people who used to know how to reach you, the people who could pull a reaction from you with a single look, a single word, can no longer reach you at all. And the people who could truly reach you, the ones who would have honored your quiet, the ones who would have sat with you in the stillness, those people are no longer in your life, or perhaps they never were. And so in your new frequency, in your new arena, you find yourself surrounded by the silence of your own making, and you wonder if you have lost more than you have gained. But you have not lost the chosen one. You have made space. And the space you have made is not meant to remain empty. It is meant to be filled slowly, carefully, by the parts of yourself you have been neglecting. The frequency you have shifted into is not a frequency of isolation. It is a frequency of return, a frequency where you can finally hear your own voice again. You have redefined the battlefield without warning. They were ready for a fight, but they were ready for it their way. They had the stage set, arguments they could win by twisting words, gossip they could spread to sway others, manipulative tactics they had perfected over years. This was their home turf. They knew every corner of it, every trick that worked, every angle they could use to make themselves look strong and you look small. They thought if a battle ever came, it would be fought there, on the ground they controlled. But you did not give them that satisfaction. You did not show up to the stage they built for you. You did not meet them where they had the advantage. You took the entire fight somewhere else, a place where they have no footing, no influence, no ability to rig the outcome. And you did it without warning. That is the part that really throws them off. If they had known you were going to change the rules, they might have tried to adapt. But you did not give them time to adjust. One day they were gearing up to pull you into their world, and the next you were already gone from it. They are still swinging, still making their usual moves, but now it is hitting empty air. They are shadowboxing against an opponent who is no longer even in the room. And here is what really hurts them, the chosen one. You did not just walk away. You outgrew the entire game. It is not that you refused to fight because you were scared or unprepared. You refused to fight because you realized the battle itself was beneath you. You saw that winning in their space would not be a victory. It would just be proof that they could still pull you down to their level. By redefining the battlefield, you force them into a position they are not used to. Powerless. They cannot smear your name in a space you do not exist in. They cannot manipulate your emotions when you do not give them access to them. They cannot claim victory when you are not even playing the same game. And the more they realize this, the more frustrated they become. Because deep down they know you have already won simply by refusing to fight where they wanted you to. But this, too, the chosen one, is a kind of armor that you have built. And armor, while protective, also has a weight. The discipline of refusing to engage, while powerful, is also exhausting when maintained alone. The strength of stepping out of their arena, while necessary, can also leave you standing in a field with no map. And the choice to outgrow the game, while liberating, can also leave you wondering what game, if any, you are now meant to play. The answer, the chosen one, is that the only game you are now meant to play is the game of returning to yourself. And that game has no arena, it has no opponents, it has no audience, it has only you and the parts of yourself that have been waiting, patient and faithful, for you to come back. You are feeling the cold edge of irrelevance. When you stopped engaging, you did more than just create distance. You took away the one thing you had allowed certain people to depend on most, the confirmation that they still mattered to you. Every conversation, every reaction, every back and forth you used to have was a constant reminder to them that they were still a key part of your life. Even if the exchanges were tense, even if they were rooted in conflict, it still kept them at the center of your emotional universe. And for someone who thrives on that kind of attention, losing it is like losing oxygen. The shift happened quickly. One day they were sure they were a main character in your story, and the next they were reduced to background noise. That kind of fall is brutal because it forces them to see the truth. They were not as important to your life as they believed. And the silence makes it worse because there is no dramatic goodbye, no emotional closure, no moment where they can at least feel like they got the last word. It is just nothing. Irrelevance has a way of creeping in slowly for most people, but for them it hit like a brick wall. They had built their identity around being significant in your life, and without that role, they did not know where they stood. They may try to convince themselves they do not care, but their actions will betray them. Little attempts to bait you back, subtle digs or even loud performances, meant to recapture your attention. But no matter how hard they try, they cannot ignore the truth. They have been replaced not by another person, but by your own peace. What stings the most is that you did not even have to announce this shift. You did not sit them down and declare they were no longer important. You simply stopped investing energy into them. That quiet removal of your attention is more cutting than any confrontation could be, because it tells them without words that you no longer see them as a factor in your life. For someone who once fed off your reactions, your indifference is the ultimate blow. It is not anger, it is not bitterness, it is nothing. And nothing, the chosen one for them, is the coldest thing you could have possibly given. And now they have to live with the reality that they have gone from being the center of your focus to just another name in your past. But you, the chosen one, you also have to live with a quieter truth. You have gone from being the center of their focus to just another name in their present. And the absence of being needed has left a kind of coldness inside you that you have not yet named. The coldness, the chosen one, is the coldness of a soul that has been pouring itself out for years and has finally stopped. It is the chill that comes when you stop giving what you were never replenishing. It is the temperature of an inner house that has been kept warm for everyone else while you, the one who tended the fire, allowed yourself to grow cold. And it is this coldness, this invisible chill, that the 7 stages of the crossing are designed to address. Not through argument, not through confrontation, not through the weapons of silence or strategy, but through the slow, deliberate, symbolic rekindling of the inner fire. A rekindling that you cannot perform by reading about it. A rekindling that requires presence, attention, and a willingness to stand in each threshold for as long as it takes. Your evolution is happening off their radar. They used to believe they had you figured out. They thought they could track your progress, predict your moves, and keep up with your growth. That belief gave them a sense of comfort, even superiority. But now you have shifted in a way that has completely removed their line of sight. They cannot see what you are doing. They cannot measure where you are, and they have no idea what is coming next. That kind of uncertainty is unsettling for anyone who once felt in control of the narrative. What is eating at them is not just the fact that you have gone quiet, it is that the quiet has been productive. You have not been sitting still. You have been working on yourself in ways they cannot witness, investing in things they do not know about, and leveling up without broadcasting your every move. To them it feels like you have stepped into a hidden world where they have no access, and people fear what they cannot monitor, because it means they cannot influence it, stop it, or prepare for it. They are starting to put the pieces together, though. Little hints slip through. Subtle changes in your demeanor, glimpses of new confidence, traces of progress they cannot fully explain. They notice it in the way you speak differently, carry yourself differently, or respond to situations with a calm they have never seen before. It tells them you have been evolving in ways that go far beyond surface-level changes. The dangerous truth for them is that this growth is not something they can undo. They cannot sabotage what they cannot see, they cannot block opportunities they do not know about, and they cannot prepare for a version of you they have never encountered before. That is what makes this kind of evolution so powerful. You have become unpredictable in the best possible way. Every day you move further ahead without their awareness. You widen the gap between where you are and where they thought you would be, and the more that gap grows, the more powerless they feel. It is one thing to be out of the loop, the chosen one. It is another to realize the person you underestimated is building something beyond your reach. Your evolution off their radar is not just progress. It is a quiet revolution, and when it finally becomes visible, it will be far too late for them to catch up. But the danger for you, the chosen one, is that the evolution happening off their radar may also be happening off your own. You may be growing in ways that even you do not yet recognize. You may be transforming at a depth that your conscious mind has not yet mapped. And so the parts of you that need to be acknowledged, integrated, welcomed home, may still be waiting, just out of sight, just below the surface, wondering if the person you are becoming will ever turn around and look for them. The 7 stages of the crossing are designed for this very integration. They are designed to bring the hidden parts of your growth into conscious awareness. They are designed to make the invisible evolution visible to the only person whose recognition truly matters, you. You are no longer a predictable character in their script. They used to know exactly how to get to you. They had a mental playbook with every one of your reactions documented. What you would say if they provoked you, how you would respond if they gave you the silent treatment, the way you would rush to defend yourself if they spread a lie. They did not just know the lines. They wrote the script. And as long as you played your part, they felt in control. But something shifted. You stopped playing. You stopped giving them the reactions they had rehearsed for. Your quiet disrupted the entire storyline they were relying on. And now they are standing there without a script, unsure what comes next. That uncertainty is eating away at them, because it is showing them just how much they depended on you being predictable. Predictability is the lifeline for manipulators, the chosen one. If they know exactly how you will react, they can plan their moves in advance. They can set traps they know you will walk into. They can twist your words into shapes they have already prepared. But unpredictability, that is dangerous territory for them. It means they cannot plan. It means they cannot guarantee an outcome. And when they cannot control the outcome, they feel exposed. Now, every time they try something, there is hesitation. They do not know if you will ignore it, counter it, or dismantle it in a way they have never seen before. That hesitation weakens them. It makes them second-guess themselves, question their own tactics, and hold back when they would normally attack without thinking. And in that hesitation, you gain even more power. What they are starting to realize is that you are not just unpredictable, you are intentional. You are not reacting in the moment, you are choosing in the moment. And that difference changes everything. It means they can no longer read you like an open book. It means they cannot trap you in cycles you have already escaped. It means the game they thought they were winning is now one they no longer even understand. Unpredictability is not about being erratic. It is about being strategic enough that no one can see your next move until it is already in motion. And that is where you are now. You have taken yourself out of their script completely. And without you playing the role they wrote, their entire performance is falling apart. And yet the chosen one, the same intentionality that protects you from their script, can also keep you at a distance from yourself. The same strategic silence that denies them access can also deny you access to your own depths. The same unpredictability that unsettles them can also unsettle the parts of you that are longing to be known, to be felt, to be welcomed back into the circle of your own attention. The crossing, the chosen one, is not about becoming more strategic. It is about becoming more present. It is about turning the same intentionality you have been using as armor into a tool of self-reunion. It is about taking the silence that has protected you and allowing it finally to become a space where you can hear your own truth. You have turned their curiosity into obsession. When you were accessible, they could keep tabs on you without much effort. A quick conversation here, a glance at your expressions there, maybe a few indirect questions to people around you. Easy. They always had just enough information to feel like they knew what was going on in your life. But when you cut that access off, you created a gap. At first it was just curiosity. They wondered what you were doing, how you were feeling, what you were planning. But curiosity does not like to be left unanswered, and soon it started to grow into something else. Obsession. Now they are not just wondering, they are actively searching. They pay more attention to what you do not say than what you do. They scan for signs in small details, a change in how you dress, a subtle shift in your tone, even the company you keep. They look for hidden clues in things that are not even connected to them, desperate to piece together a picture of your life without you telling them directly. The thing about cutting off access is that it forces people to fill in the blanks themselves, and the human mind has a way of creating stories far more dramatic than the truth. In their head, you are suddenly making big moves, meeting influential people, building something massive behind the scenes. Every unknown becomes a possible breakthrough. The less they know, the more they imagine. And the more they imagine, the more they need to know for sure. This is where it turns into a problem for them. Obsession is not passive. It is active. They start asking about you in roundabout ways, monitoring you from a distance, maybe even watching for your online presence. They cannot admit it openly, but you have become a puzzle they are determined to solve. And every day you withhold information, the puzzle feels bigger. What they cannot see is that this obsession is a form of power you now hold over them. You are not chasing them, yet they are spending mental and emotional energy chasing you. You are not feeding their curiosity, yet it is growing stronger by the day. They wanted to be the one in control of your focus, but now without even trying you have become the center of theirs. And the most frustrating part for them, they do not even know when or if they will get the answers they are looking for. And you, the chosen one, what are you chasing? What curiosity is pulling you forward in the dark? What obsession is quietly building in the depths of your own heart? Because the energy of obsession, when directed outward, becomes a prison. But when directed inward, when turned toward the parts of you that have been waiting, it becomes the very engine of the crossing. The 7 stages, the chosen one, are designed to redirect that energy. To take the searching, the scanning, the looking for clues, and turn it finally toward the only mystery that has always truly mattered. The mystery of who you are beneath the performances, beneath the masks, beneath the silence you have been wearing as protection. They are realizing they were never the source of your strength. For a long time they told themselves a comforting story that they were the reason you became who you are. They convinced themselves that without their guidance, their influence, or even their criticism, you would not have found your path. Maybe they even spoke about you to others, as if they had built you, taking quiet credit for your growth. It was a way of inflating their own importance while subtly keeping you in a position that seemed dependent on them. But now that you have stepped back and gone quiet, the cracks in that story are showing. You are still moving forward, still leveling up, and still finding ways to grow without their presence anywhere in the equation. That is the part they did not expect. If they truly believed they were your source of strength, then your growth in their absence feels like a direct contradiction of their narrative. It is proof that they were never the foundation they thought they were. What is worse for them is that your growth now feels even more authentic. Without their visible involvement, every step you make stands as a testament to your own resilience and determination. They cannot claim the credit anymore, and that loss of control over the story is eating away at them. They are being forced to face the reality that their role in your life was never as pivotal as they like to believe. Your quiet rise is even more unsettling because it highlights just how much of your progress happened despite them, not because of them. All the times they doubted you, all the ways they underestimated you, all the subtle or direct attempts to hold you back, those are now part of the backstory you overcame, not the foundation you stood on. And now that truth is visible in the way you carry yourself, the moves you make, and the independence you have embraced. This is where their discomfort turns into something deeper. Resentment. They do not just feel left out, they feel exposed. Your success without their help reveals the truth they never wanted to admit. You have always been self-made. Their presence may have been loud, but it was never the source of your power. At best, it was just background noise. And now that you have muted it, the strength you have always had is coming through clearer than ever. But the Chosen One, take care here. Because while they were never the source of your strength, they were for a long time the loudest voice telling you what your strength looked like. They defined the arena. They set the rules. They told you what winning meant. And so, even in their absence, the architecture of your inner world may still carry the shape of their definitions. You may have outgrown their game, but you may still be playing it in your own mind. The crossing, the Chosen One, is what happens when you stop playing their game altogether. Even the version of it that lives only in your own head. It is what happens when you stop defining your strength by what they could no longer take from you, and start defining it by what you are willing to give back to yourself. Your energy shift has made you unreachable. Your absence from their world is no longer just physical. It is energetic, and that is far more unsettling for them. You are not simply avoiding calls, ignoring messages, or keeping your distance. You have shifted into a frequency that makes you unreachable in a way they cannot mimic, fake, or bypass. It is like you have stepped into a room that is invisible to them, a realm they can sense but not enter. And that is driving them to a kind of madness they did not anticipate. They used to think they knew the way back into your life, pull a few emotional strings, remind you of shared memories, or lean on old dynamics to reel you back in. But those tactics no longer work because you have done more than set boundaries. You have changed your entire energetic architecture. You are not just harder to reach. You are operating on a completely different channel. This barrier is not built from bitterness or ego. It is born from clarity. You have seen too much, grown too much, and understood too much to allow old energies to disrupt your peace. And while you may have left a door open in the past, now there is no entry point at all because you finally understand that not everyone deserves access to you, even if they once had it. What they feel now is the quiet, heavy truth. Their clearance has been revoked, and it is not something they can talk or charm their way out of. This is spiritual security. Your spirit has installed a lock they do not have the code for. No amount of pretending they have changed will get them in, because it is not about appearances. It is about vibration, and theirs does not match anymore. The part they cannot stand is that they can feel the difference. They sense the wall without you saying a word. They feel the no without you having to explain it. And it is not a wall of anger. It is a wall of ascension. You have elevated beyond the range of their influence, and they are left on the outside, watching you move further out of reach with each passing day. They may try to call it arrogance. They may tell themselves you are acting different. But deep down, they know the truth. You did not just walk away. You transcended. And once someone rises to that level, there is no going back. They can still see you, but they cannot touch you. They can still remember you, but they cannot reach you. You have become unreachable, and the silence of that reality is louder than anything you could ever say. And yet, the Chosen One, this transcendence, this ascension, this elevation, has come at a price. Because in becoming unreachable to them, you may also have become unreachable to yourself. In elevating beyond their range of influence, you may have also elevated beyond the range of your own tenderness. In installing a lock that they cannot open, you may have also installed a lock between you and the parts of you that need your attention most. The crossing, the Chosen One, is not about staying unreachable. It is about becoming reachable again, but this time on your own terms. It is about lowering the drawbridge for the parts of you that have been standing outside your own walls, waiting for permission to come home. They are confronting the fear that you have moved on permanently. When you pulled back, they might have thought it was temporary, just a phase, a mood, a cooling-off period before things return to normal. But as the days stretch into weeks and the weeks into months, the silence has a different weight to it. It no longer feels like distance they can close with a casual conversation or an apology they do not really mean. It feels final, like a chapter you have already finished reading while they are still stuck on the same page. For people who once had unfiltered access to your time, your thoughts, and your emotional space, the possibility of losing that forever is terrifying. You were more than just a person in their life. You were a resource. You were someone they could call on for validation, attention, entertainment, or even emotional support when it suited them. Losing that means losing a supply they may never be able to replace, And that reality is sinking in fast. The quiet is not just an absence of conversation. It is a loud statement that you have moved on in ways they cannot undo. It is not that you hate them, or that you are even thinking about them constantly. It is that they have fallen completely out of the orbit you now operate in. They are not at the center anymore, and they cannot pull you back in because you are functioning on a level that no longer requires their input or approval. What unsettles them most is the growing sense that the old version of you they knew is gone for good. The one they could manipulate, guilt-trip, or emotionally sway, does not exist anymore. And if that is true, then the relationship, at least in the form they once controlled, is officially over. That is the kind of loss that does not just hurt pride. It hits the ego, because it forces them to accept they were never as essential to you as they believed. Now the silence is not something they can wait out. It is not a temporary storm. They are starting to realize it is the climate. And if the door you have closed is truly locked, then in their mind it is not just an ending. It is exile. That thought alone keeps them restless, because deep down they know you are not the one losing here. They are. And you, the chosen one, are you also at risk of exile? Not exile from them, but exile from the parts of yourself that you have left behind in the rooms you have kept closed. The parts that were exiled when you decided they were too painful, too inconvenient, too much to carry. The parts that have been waiting, not with bitterness but with patience, for you to come back and say, I see you, you belong with me. The crossing, the chosen one, is the journey back to those exiled parts of yourself. It is the act of unlocking the doors you have kept closed, not with force but with the slow, intentional, symbolic gestures of the 7 stages. A return that does not demand perfection. A return that honors the time it takes. You are letting the truth expose them without saying a word. You did not rush to defend yourself. You did not gather witnesses, mount a campaign, or waste energy trying to convince people of your innocence. You knew that anyone who was meant to see the truth eventually would, and anyone committed to misunderstanding you was not worth convincing in the first place. So you stepped back. You let the storm rage without trying to control it, because you understood something they did not. Lies have expiration dates, and truth does not need you to push it across the finish line. It moves on its own, quietly gathering weight until it becomes impossible to ignore. And now, without your participation, their carefully crafted narrative is starting to unravel. In your absence, the people who once believed their version of events have started noticing cracks. Their stories do not line up anymore. Their behavior contradicts the image they tried to project. The energy they carry does not match the innocence they claimed. And because you are no longer there to be their convenient scapegoat, all the attention has shifted back to them and they are not handling the spotlight well. What is most poetic about it is that you did not just avoid playing their game. You changed the entire playing field. The truth is exposing them in ways your words never could, because it is being revealed through the natural unfolding of events. People are connecting dots on their own, and those dots are painting a picture far uglier than anything you could have said out loud. You have become living proof of everything they tried to erase. The peace you carry now, the steadiness you have cultivated, and the life you have rebuilt without them are all silent testimonies that their version of you was a lie. And here is the sting. They cannot smear you anymore without reminding everyone that you are still standing, thriving, and unbothered. They once thought destroying your name would erase your existence. Instead, it is their own image that is deteriorating while you rise without lifting a finger. You are the quiet evidence, the inconvenient reminder, the truth they cannot bury. And yet, the chosen one, while they are being exposed by the truth, you are also being exposed by the truth. Because the same stillness that reveals their false narratives is also revealing the false narratives you have been telling yourself. The stories you have been carrying about who you are, about what you deserve, about what is possible for you. The truths that you have not yet been ready to face, the truths that have been waiting in the locked rooms of your own inner house. The crossing, the chosen one, is the act of letting the truth expose you too. Not in the way it exposes them, with shame and unraveling, but in the way it exposes a healing wound, with tenderness and the slow return of color. Your new power is in what you choose not to give. You have realized that your power is not in what you hand out, it is in what you withhold. Once upon a time you gave freely. Your time, your explanations, your energy, your reactions. You thought engagement was proof of strength, that meeting them head-on would somehow force them to see your worth. But now you know the truth. Every time you answer to noise, you legitimize it. Every time you explain yourself to someone committed to misunderstanding you, you hand them control over your narrative. So you have learned the art of withholding, not out of bitterness, but out of precision. You know where your energy flows. Life grows, and they are not entitled to the life you are building. They wanted you reactive because reactions give them something to feed on, something to twist, something to claim victory over. Your silence denies them the fuel. Your absence starves them of relevance. What unsettles them most is that your restraint is not passive, it is deliberate. It is a decision born from self-respect, not fear. You could respond in ways that cut them to the bone, but you do not need to. The discipline to hold your tongue, to walk away without proving your point, to resist the bait. That is the kind of strength they never accounted for. And now they are seeing it. Your refusal to engage is not weakness. It is dominance. You are no longer playing defense in a game they invented. You have left the field entirely and they cannot score on an empty court. Every unanswered message, every ignored provocation, every moment you choose peace over petty warfare is a reminder that you hold the power because you decide where the game even happens. What you choose not to give is now your greatest weapon, and that terrifies them, because deep down they know they cannot take anything from someone who no longer offers it. But the chosen one, the discipline of withholding, while powerful, can also become a kind of prison. Because once you have learned to withhold, it is tempting to withhold from everyone, to withhold from life, to withhold from yourself, to keep everything close, just in case, to refuse to give what could be taken, to refuse to open what could be closed. The crossing, the chosen one, is the moment when you learn that there is a difference between withholding from those who would take and offering to those who would honor. There is a difference between protecting your energy and starving your own heart. The 7 stages are designed to help you feel that difference again, to help you sense, slowly, when it is safe to give, when it is time to receive, when to open the door, when to keep it closed. This is not about being unreachable or indifferent. It is about mastering yourself in a world that thrived on your reactions. They are forced now to confront the undeniable truth. You are no longer available for their manipulation, their games, or their distractions. Your energy has shifted beyond their grasp, your presence redefined on your own terms. Every unanswered call, every ignored provocation, every withheld response is a testament to a power that cannot be taken, because it was not given freely in the first place. You have rewritten the rules without announcing it. You have outgrown battles they wanted to fight on their turf, choosing instead to grow in ways they cannot see or understand. Their frustration, confusion, and desperation are not signs of your weakness. They are the echoes of a force they underestimated. This quiet revolution within you is more than a withdrawal. It is an ascension, an evolution so profound that it leaves them scrambling to catch up while you rise higher, untethered, and unstoppable. Remember this: the chosen one. Strength is not always loud. Sometimes it is the calm, steady refusal to engage that shakes the ground beneath those who once tried to break you. You have already won without a fight. Now watch as the silence you chose becomes the roar they can never silence. But the chosen one, let us be careful here, because while they cannot silence the roar of your silence, there is a quieter voice that is still waiting to be heard. The voice of the parts of you that have been silent for so long, not as a strategy but as a survival. The voice of the wound that has been holding its breath. The voice of the grief that has been waiting for permission to grieve. The voice of the anger that was told it was unbecoming. The voice of the tenderness that was told it would be exploited. The crossing is not the end of your silence, the chosen one. It is the beginning of a different kind of silence. The silence of a soul that has finally stopped running. The silence of a heart that has finally stopped performing. The silence of a person who has finally, after years of carrying everyone else, sat down, closed their eyes and asked, "What about me? And what about you, the chosen one? What about the loneliness that has been waiting in the corner of every room you have entered? What about the betrayal that still makes your chest tighten when you remember? What about the false friends whose names you still cannot say without feeling a kind of hollowness? What about the manipulative relationships that taught you that love was something to earn? What about the people who took your kindness and called it a debt? What about the words you swallowed for years? What about the emotions you hid so well that you forgot you were hiding them? What about the part of yourself you lost along the way? What about the silence you learned to wear like armor when the world gave you no other choice? What about the smile you practiced in the mirror until it no longer hurt your face? What about the small surrenders you made every day? The moments you swallowed your truth, the times you agreed to keep the peace at the cost of your own peace? What about the version of you that existed before the performances began, before the masks were needed, before you learned that being seen was dangerous? There is a room inside you, the chosen one, where that version still lives. A room with the door half closed, the curtains drawn, the air thick with the dust of years. In that room, there is a chair no one has sat in for a long time. There is a window that no one has opened. There is a voice that no one has asked to speak. And in the corner of that room, a flame that has never quite gone out even when the rest of the house grew cold. A small, stubborn, almost invisible flame. The flame of who you were before the world told you who to be. That flame is not a memory. It is a presence. It has been burning, low and patient, through every betrayal, every false friend, every manipulative relationship, every time you swallowed your words, every time you hid your tears, every time you carried someone else's weight while no one noticed yours. It has been burning through the long nights of loneliness, through the cold mornings of pretending, through the silent wars fought entirely inside your own chest, and the crossing, the chosen one, is the act of walking into that room, of opening the curtains, of sitting in that chair, of letting that small flame be seen. It is not a dramatic gesture. It does not require a battlefield or a victory. It requires only that you, finally, turn your attention to the parts of yourself that have been waiting in the quiet. These are not questions with simple answers, the chosen one, but they are questions that deserve to be asked. And in the 7 days of the crossing, they will be asked. Not all at once, not in a flood, but one at a time, in their own symbolic hour with the steady companionship of a voice that knows the way. And so, the chosen one, you stand at a moment of recognition. You understand, perhaps for the first time, why a part of you has remained trapped in the past. You understand why you keep going without feeling complete. You understand why time alone has never been enough to bring you home to yourself. You have seen, in these words, the shape of what you have been carrying. You have recognized the silent rooms, the hidden wounds, the part of yourself that has been waiting. You have acknowledged the betrayals, the false friends, the manipulation, the kindness that was taken for granted, the words you could never say, the emotions you had to hide. You have felt the coldness of an inner house that no one else can warm for you. You have understood that the energy you have been scattering across the years, across the people who did not deserve it, across the performances you no longer have the strength to maintain, was always meant to come home. You have begun to sense, perhaps for the first time, that the silence you have been living inside was not the end of your story. It was the beginning of a different kind of listening. But your crossing has not yet begun. The understanding you feel tonight is the first light, not the sunrise. It is the recognition of the wound, not the healing of it. The path exists. The door is there. The first pinned comment below holds the key. But the experience, the guided return, the gradual rebuilding of your inner wholeness, that begins only when you choose to step through. For now, you have been understood. And that, the chosen one, is no small thing. For years, perhaps, you have carried what you carry alone. You have not had the words for it. You have not had the framework. You have not had the permission. And now, in this moment, someone has named it. Not to fix you. Not to heal you with a sentence. Not to promise you that everything will be all right by morning. But to show you that the wound is real. That it deserves attention. That a structured path toward your own wholeness has been waiting for you all along. And that the first door is not as far away as you believed. The 7-day ritual, the crossing. 7 days, 7 thresholds, 1 crossing. You are not broken. the chosen one. You are not late. You are not beyond repair. You are simply at the beginning of the door that has always been yours to open. The choice, as it has always been, is yours. And when you are ready, when the recognition you feel tonight has settled deep enough to become intention, you will find the door. And on the other side, a voice will be waiting. Not the voice of someone who has all the answers, but the voice of someone who has walked the path and knows that the answers were never outside of you. They were always the chosen one, on the other side of the door you have been afraid to open. 7 days, 7 thresholds, 1 crossing, the door is waiting.